and we've seen a lot of it on social media. We've seen tensions between fans and players. We've seen the league and the Players Association, tensions with the media.
WNBA is such an inclusive league. So for me to see the vitriol that's out there on social media and the players having to deal with it and deleting their accounts.
Women's basketball, that person will be back the following season and probably the following season after that.
The WNBA is facing its biggest crisis ever. That's what an NBA owner just told me yesterday. He wasn't talking about the games or the players. He was talking about a shocking $40 million financial hole that's getting deeper every day. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. This same owner showed me documents that explain exactly why Caitlin Clark's record-breaking season isn't saving the league. What's in those papers? It's about to blow your mind. Let me show you something wild. Caitlin Clark steps onto the court, and boom, every single seat is filled. The Indiana Fever went from averaging 4,000 fans to pulling in 16,000 people per game. That's 4 times more fans. People are camping outside arenas, fighting over tickets, doing whatever it takes to see Clark play. And these aren't your regular price tickets either. Remember when WNBA tickets used to cost like $20? Now they're selling for $4,000 on resale sites. The cheapest seats for Clark's games are going for $200, and that's if you're lucky enough to find them. Every arena she plays in is completely sold out, with scalpers making a fortune outside. You'd think all this money flooding in would make the WNBA rich, right? Here's where things get crazy. Even with packed houses and sky-high ticket prices, the league is still bleeding cash. Want to know why? Let's break down where all that money actually goes. First, there's the arena costs. The WNBA has to pay massive rental fees just to use these venues. We're talking about $50,000 to $100,000 per game. Then, you've got staff salaries, security, insurance, travel expenses for teams. It all adds up fast. The bigger crowds actually mean higher costs because you need more staff and security. But here's the real kicker. The NBA owns 75% of the WNBA. They've been pumping money into this league for 27 years, hoping it would eventually turn profitable. Instead, they're watching their investment sink deeper into the red every season. Even with Clark bringing in record crowds, the math just isn't working. Think about it like this. When you sell out an arena, the team only keeps about 40% of the ticket revenue. The rest goes to arena fees, taxes, and operating costs. So even though tickets are selling for thousands, the teams aren't seeing most of that money. And those $4,000 tickets you hear about? Those are resale prices. The team already sold those tickets at face value. The TV deals aren't helping either. While the NBA pulls in billions from broadcasting rights, the WNBA's current deal is worth just a fraction of that. Even with Clark's games drawing huge ratings, the league can't renegotiate their TV contracts mid-season. NBA owners are looking at these numbers and starting to panic. They're seeing packed arenas and record merchandise sales, but their financial reports still show massive losses. If the league can't make money with Caitlin Clark packing every arena, when will it ever be profitable? This is creating serious tension in the owners' meetings. Some are starting to question whether they should keep investing in a league that's lost money for almost 3 decades. And one owner in particular is getting really vocal about his concerns. James Dolan of the New York Liberty. He's seen enough financial reports to know that even this historic season isn't fixing the fundamental problems. You want to know just how bad things are getting behind closed doors? The conversations these owners are having would shock most fans. They're not just worried anymore. They're angry. And what they're saying about the future of the league? Well, that's what we need to talk about next. After 27 years of writing checks to keep the WNBA alive, NBA owners are finally saying the quiet part out loud. Even with Caitlin Clark selling out arenas, The projected $40 million loss this season might be the final straw that breaks the league. And the person leading this rebellion? James Dolan, the owner of the New York Liberty. Yeah, the same guy who's taken heat for years over how he runs the Knicks is now stepping up as the voice of reason. He's not just complaining about the losses anymore. He's demanding answers from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver about where all this money is going. The crazy part is other NBA owners are actually backing him up. These guys have been quietly funding the WNBA's losses for almost 3 decades, hoping someday it would turn around. But now they're watching Caitlin Clark pack arenas, seeing ticket prices go through the roof, and they're still getting hit with massive bills to keep the lights on. One team executive put it perfectly when they said, "The WNBA owes the NBA so much." Think about that. Even in what should be the league's most successful season ever, they're still relying on NBA owners to cover their losses. And we're not talking about small numbers here. That $40 million loss this season is just the latest hit in a 27-year string of red ink. These closed-door owner meetings are getting intense. I'm hearing that some owners are straight up talking about shutting down the WNBA. They're looking at their books, seeing decades of losses, and asking themselves how much longer they need to keep funding a league that can't support itself. Even with Clark bringing in record crowds, the fundamental problems aren't going away. You'd think having the biggest star in college basketball history would change their minds, right? But here's the thing. These owners are business people first. They're looking past the packed arenas and viral highlights. They're seeing the same financial problems that have plagued the league since day one, just with bigger numbers attached. The owners aren't just asking for changes anymore. They're demanding them. They want complete transparency about where their money is going. They want to know why. Even with sold-out games and merchandise flying off the shelves, they're still writing checks to cover losses. And most importantly, they want to know if there's actually a path to profitability. But you know what's making everything even more complicated? While all this is happening in the boardroom, there's something else brewing on the court. The way some veteran players are treating Clark, the growing tension between old-school WNBA fans and these new faces showing up to games. It's creating a whole different kind of problem. And when you combine these internal conflicts with the financial crisis, well, that's where things start getting really messy. Here's what's wild. While Caitlin Clark is selling out arenas and bringing in millions of new fans, some WNBA veterans are actually fighting against their own success. From hard fouls on the court to harsh words off it, there's a civil war brewing that could tear the league apart right when it needs unity the most. You've seen the clips by now. Chennedy Carter slamming Clark to the ground in what Clark herself called not a basketball play. But that's not just one isolated incident. Clark's been getting hammered game after game, facing some of the most physical defense we've ever seen in the WNBA. The refs aren't doing much to stop it either, and fans are starting to notice. But the real drama? It's happening off the court. While Clark's bringing in record crowds and new fans, some WNBA veterans aren't exactly rolling out the welcome mat. Instead, they're pushing these new fans away, the same fans who could save the league. Angel Reese even dropped a bombshell, accusing Clark's fan base of racism. Think about that for a second. Right when the WNBA needs every fan it can get, one of its stars is basically telling millions of new supporters they're not wanted. The tension in these arenas is getting crazy. You've got longtime WNBA fans on one side, veteran players who've been holding down the league for years on the other, and then there's this massive wave of new Clark supporters caught in the middle. Every hard foul, every negative comment from a veteran player, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire that's already burning out of control. And Clark? She's taking a beating out there. Game after game, she's getting knocked around, hit with aggressive defense that goes way beyond normal physical play. She's talking about getting hammered on the court, and you can see it starting to wear her down. Families showing up to watch their new hero play are instead seeing her get roughed up, and that's not exactly the kind of entertainment that keeps people coming back. This is where things get really scary for the WNBA's future. Remember those huge media rights deals everyone's been talking about? the ones that could finally make the league profitable. Well, guess what happens when your biggest star is getting beaten up on the court while some of your veterans are pushing away new fans? Those TV networks aren't stupid. They're watching all of this drama unfold. The league needs these new fans more than ever. They're the ones buying tickets, watching games, following on social media. But instead of embracing them, there's this weird resistance from within. Veterans seem more focused on protecting what they see as their league than building something bigger. Meanwhile, fans are getting frustrated with the officiating, the physical play, and the hostile response to their support. What makes this whole situation even crazier is the timing. Right when the WNBA finally has this massive opportunity to grow, right when they've got this generational talent bringing in millions of new eyes, the league seems to be fighting itself. And with those major TV deals hanging in the balance, the WNBA can't afford to keep alienating these new fans. Something's got to give, and fast. Here's where everything could either come together or completely fall apart. The WNBA is looking at a massive $2.2 billion media rights deal over the next 11 years. That kind of money could finally put the league on solid ground, bumping up their annual TV revenue from $60 million to at least $100 million. But there's a huge problem brewing. Players are talking about opting out of their current contracts, demanding bigger salaries, right when the league can least afford it. If that happens, even this historic TV deal might not be enough to save the WNBA. All that new money could vanish before it even hits the bank. The league's standing at a crossroads. They've got Caitlin Clark bringing in record crowds, this massive TV deal on the horizon, but they're still hemorrhaging money. Without some serious changes, and fast, even Clark's star power might not be enough to keep this ship afloat. The next few months could decide whether the WNBA finally breaks through or breaks down completely.